Introducing the epic new Swift. Time to go swifting.
RCB are staying alive, and how? One win in their first 8 games, but now they've won 5 on the bounce. The first time they've done that in 8 years, and with a 47-run win over Delhi Capitals, they land a hammer blow on Delhi's hopes and see themselves jump all the way up to just on the cusp of the top 4. It gives us a lot to look back on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout, powered by JBL. One final time this Sunday evening, where we have Mitch McClenaghan, Varun Aaron, beaming Varun Aaron, might I add, and Dustin Silgardo. Varun, I'll start with you, because this Sunday has panned out exactly how you wanted it to, because you wanted next Saturday, CSK versus RCB at Chinnaswamy, to be a showdown, and both results have gone that way.
And we have a showdown on our hands. It's going to be electrifying in the stadium. I just wish the game lives up to the expectation, because that's what the public would want. That's what we all would want, because nothing like CSK versus RCB at the Chinnaswamy Stadium. Let's be honest, the kind of euphoria and pressure that comes with that game. But yeah, somebody has to win that game, you know. I mean, because if they're going to play for the number 4 spot, it's going to be tight.
But so basically, you're writing off LSG already. You're saying LSG will drop.
I have a feeling. I have a feeling it's going to boil down to that game, because like everything is just building up to that. And LSG, after last game, their spirits are now going to be very high, to be honest. So let's see. They're going to have to recoup from a very big loss, and come out and win the next game, which is going to be a challenge. But well played by RCB today.
Yeah, all those scenarios and what it means on the points table in just a bit. But Mitch, just talk us through that second innings, comprehensive as it ends for RCB.
Yeah, it was. 47-run difference, significant, made a huge difference on the points table. It was just almost started with the first couple of wickets, and I know he's young and first year in the game, but Porrell, first ball, trying to hit Dayal out of the stadium, just got caught with his feet going nowhere. And at that point, the way Fraser McGurk had kind of started looking like he was going, it was almost, even though it was early doors in Porrell's innings, it was significant that he played that shot and didn't kind of look to play a little bit safer and get Fraser McGurk on strike, because he was really lighting it up. And then obviously the unfortunate run out, that's freakish, so that was quite significant as well. 2 in the over. Kind of really turned everything around. And then I thought Delhi fought back nicely. They were actually starting to get into a position where you thought, okay, this is kind of in touch. Shea and Axar were batting well, and you knew they had Stubbs in the bank. And then what was probably a missed delivery from Lockie Ferguson, that knuckleball, but just that little bit of late drop on that low full toss was enough to finish that partnership. And it was pretty much all done from there. Valiant effort from Axar, the skipper, tonight, but he just ran out of partners.
We speak of margins so often. That Jake Fraser McGurk run out the way it started. If he bats through the power play, we could be looking at a different story here.
Yeah, and you could see how much it meant to RCB. I mean, Virat Kohli was celebrating as if he gave Yash Jha the idea to do that, like it was intentional. And I swear,
he ran off to mid-on to Lockie Ferguson, who had nothing to do with it. He's like, run past Yash.
It's the brotherhood.
Is it the brotherhood?
I saw one of the members, I think of the RCB dugout, running onto the pitch to celebrate that. It meant so much. There was somebody in a bib.
They're just happy that they've got him out, because he was striking at 250 plus with the way he was batting, and he's looking really good, because we've been talking about the balls coming back to him. He was like playing balls which are coming back to him, in-swinging balls through cover. He was looking in very ominous form today.
Yeah, but you remove Jake Fraser McGurk from that initial phase of Delhi's innings, and there's really almost nothing going for it. Losing as many wickets as they did in the power play, they kind of lost the game there itself.
Yeah, it does, and that's what I'm saying about the approach. Yeah. When you've got someone like, you lose Davey early, that was significant, then Porrell comes in, and just on that wicket, we saw in the first innings, it was doing a little bit early, a little bit of swing, a little bit of stick in the wicket, and it was the same in the second innings. And unless you're as talented as Fraser McGurk, you probably need to give yourself just a little bit more time. And when you've got someone at the other end who does strike the way Fraser does, you actually you've got enough time to catch up or get yourself set, because the ground's so small that once you're in on that wicket, it's easy scoring, as we saw from Axar later in the innings. He gave himself a little bit of time to get in and then looked very, very good from there. So a little bit of inexperienced. Unfortunate for Delhi, because I thought they were rolling really, really nicely. Just a little bit of bad luck.
Talking about, we said whichever bowling team's better, they're going to win today. I think whichever fielding team was better won today.
Yeah, that's a really massive point as well.
Because Delhi could have had RCB on the ropes pretty much really early, but with the amount of drop catches, RCB held on to some good catches, a couple of run-outs. So like RCB fielded really well. And I think that's a sign of a team which is really bonding well together, fielding. That's where it first shows that when a team's fielding well, they're generally bonding well together and having fun on the field, and RCB looks that unit.
Yeah, those drops of Will Jacks and Rajat Patidar cost them 30+ runs.
Minimum. Yeah, minimum. Significant. You can't put yourself in that position. So time and time again, if you get chances, and a couple of them weren't that difficult. I think particularly the Will Jacks one off Axar, he should have taken that. Stubbs got himself in a bit of a tangle running back off one off Will Jacks, so they gave him a couple opportunities, and he's kind of been the backbone of their batting lineup, and then Patidar's one as well. All catches that you just expect to be taken. So, yep, that's probably, as you touched on, probably the difference today.
Coming back to that Delhi batting, if we now think of the decision making, when you were losing Rishabh Pant, they decided to get Kumar Kushagra. Prithvi Shaw's not had a lot of runs in the tournament, but he does have a lot more experience in the IPL. This is a crunch game. Do you now look back at that decision as one that could have been different?
I think Kushagra got a really good ball. Yes, there was a glaring technical mistake there. Let's not take away that from the equation. But that ball was really good. To get that ball in the fourth over, you generally don't expect that. In today's T20 cricket, I think Siraj was bowling an outswing. The seam was presented nicely, going out, pitched and came back, and quite a good ball. So yeah, in hindsight, a lot of things can be done differently. I don't think Prithvi Shaw should have been dropped in the first place. I really think he was batting really well, getting decent scores, but then they dropped him, which was
he went through a string of 4 or 5 games where he kind of just got on the early teams and didn't really kick on. And there was that game where they lost big to KKR, and I think Porrell, Fraser McGurk, and himself all missed out, and he seemed to have been the man who was dropped after that. Yeah. So he was affected by that. I look at these kind of situations, and I saw when we've seen a scenario like this when Quinton de Kock was out. We saw Lucknow go with
Arshin
Kulkarni, and you're asking a young, inexperienced player, first year in the IPL, in a couple of crunch games to step up and win you a game. And I think you've always got to go back to a senior player, always go back to your experience. That's why they brought David Warner in today. No, he didn't fire, but I think the Shaw option at the top would have been a really good option, because he gives you, just knowing the fact that he's been there, done that, a little bit of extra pressure in the power play, the way he plays, could have been advantageous, as opposed to a young. So if Kushagra had have performed in one of the previous games, I don't think we'd be having this conversation.
Kushagra had just one game before this. I think the right way to go about this was put Kushagra up top, like opening, where he generally,
in a must-win game,
where he generally bats. Yeah, I mean, they played David Warner, who wasn't getting any runs for them, so they could have gotten David Warner, say where Kushagra batted. That would have been a better ploy to actually give somebody the space which he's generally used to. And David Warner, really experienced, really great. I mean, one of the greats. He could have been that guy who could have been a floater, who could have been number 3 or 4.
Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing was getting the batting order right. And I guess if Shaw played, then that meant Fraser McGurk probably needs to be 3. I guess then you need to think about where you're going to play Porrell. But yeah, I'm inclined to agree with Mitch that in a big game like this, you probably would rather have Shaw. But then again, we haven't seen a lot of Kushagra. So
and I think that's my point.
Yeah, I agree as well. Yeah. I mean, I'm talking about what they played today.
Yeah.
Shaw is obviously the first option, 100%.
Yeah.
My point is what they played today, the better way of going about this combination would have been the other way around. But Prithvi Shaw, I agree with both. First choice.
Yeah, I guess they thought, I mean, if you get Warner and Fraser McGurk, you get a 50-run partnership at the top, then that's the game, right? I guess that's probably what they were thinking.
Yeah, all the emphasis on those answers was around the fact that this was a big game, and you see the significance when you take a look at the points table. This was always going to be a big Sunday in the context of the league stage. We saw CSK get what was 2 vital points for them in the afternoon against Rajasthan Royals, and now RCB, who started the day in 7th on 10 points, not only do they go up to 5, but more significantly, Dustin, that net run rate jump with this 47-run win means what had started at 0.21 is now nearly 0.39.
Yeah, and they play Chennai, so obviously, I don't know what the exact margin is, but if they beat Chennai by even maybe 20 runs, Chennai's net run rate falls, theirs increases, so we'll figure out the numbers soon on exactly how much they need to beat CSK by. But yeah, I mean, it's an incredible season. I mean, we were midway through the season doing shows on what's gone wrong with RCB already. And so for them to even be in this position, I think they've saved their season already, really.
Yes, and the flip side of that points table is Delhi Capitals, who, had they won this one with 1 game still to play, had the chance to reach 16, but as the points table will show you, they now can reach a maximum of 14, and with a net run rate that's significantly inferior to all the other teams who have already reached that mark. So for Delhi, it's
Curtains.
You can't call it curtains yet officially, but yeah, it's almost as good as. Their next game comes as early as Tuesday, but that now becomes significant for Lucknow. Lucknow making the trip to Delhi, they now need the win to keep things interesting.
I think it's going to be Delhi firing on all cylinders because they would just want to keep some window of hope alive if they win by a big margin. Fraser McGurk, again, he's become such a key member, such a big conversation. And hats off to Mitch. Mitch was talking about Fraser McGurk right from day one. So Mitch, good on you. That's a great call.
Thank you.
Super selector.
I must say, he's even exceeded my expectations. I knew he was explosive, but I didn't know he was going to be this consistent. It's been absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. So
and I guess today as well, we've got to talk about the run out of Stubbs as well. That was significant. He's the other man who's been really in form. And if he was there for another 2 or 3 overs with Axar Patel, he puts himself in a position. I think in the last 4 overs, he strikes at 270 throughout this competition, or something around there.
Yeah.
So he's a guy who's finished games and finished them well. So that was one of those interesting ones, wasn't it? It was like Axar dropped it at his feet. That's Stubbs' call, but Axar obviously didn't hear him call him through. And by the time he realised that Axar wasn't going to look up, Stubbs had to turn around. So it was just one of those miscommunication things. Axar not seeing the visual cues, wondering where the ball was, and then great work from Cam Green. He was out by a long way.
Do you think Axar would have made it had he set off straight away?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because Cam Green would have tried to kick the ball onto the stumps at the strikers end, and I reckon Stubbs would have been there safe.
do we add runouts to the impact zone?
No, fielding points are not included in the impact
That
zone.
was crucial, though.
That suggestion has been passed over. It will hopefully come into effect come IPL 2025. But Cam Green was the one with that run out. He also was instrumental with the ball. 1 for 19 in his 4 overs. Stellar in any game at the Chinnaswamy. But it continues a run of games where he's made handy contributions with the ball for RCB.
With the ball and the bat. And I think RCB's fortunes have changed ever since Cam Green has come to the party with the ball, because they needed that one extra bowler to step up in case one of their top bowlers don't have a good day. And Cam Green has been that bowler. He actually bowls a heavy ball. He's not been trying to do anything too fancy, which he was trying in the beginning, a few slowers, Yorkers. He's just bowling really good, hard lengths, a good bumper, and that's been working for him because he's one of those deceptively fast bowlers, runs in really, really relaxed, has a relaxed action, but then gets a lot out of his action at the end. And that can be a bit deceiving, especially on the wicket today. I thought the wicket today had a little extra bounce in it. It was quite a good bouncy wicket. It would have been fun if Fraser McGurk was in.
Yeah, that game that RCB lost by 1 run in Kolkata was the game where they started using Cam Green a lot more as a bowler.
Yeah.
And just running through some of his performances from then. Even that day was 2 for 35 in a 220 plus game. There's a 2 for 12 in the win over Sunrisers, 1 for 28 against Gujarat, and now this. He's adding to that story. We've spoken a lot about Patidar and Jacks in this turnaround in the last 5 games, but Green.
Yeah, look, I think their bowling attack before that game looked like it lacked a little bit of direction in terms of their planning. And in that game, they really came with a clear plan to Sun on Orion in particular. And so at that point, you kind of saw that the bowling unit was thinking, and they were all starting to get on the same page of what kind of tactics they were trying to apply. And I think from that point we saw Siraj also improve. And for someone like Cam Green, who doesn't bowl a lot in T20 cricket or historically hasn't bowled a lot, when you're taking wickets at the top and actually getting teams a couple down, it's a little bit easier for him to come in and do his role. So I think the whole unit's contributed to Cam Green being put into positions where he can have the impact that he's had, because I think he's a lot harder to go after in the middle with his change of pace and that length when it's middle order players as opposed to top order batsmen.
Also, hats off to Lockie Ferguson. He's had two good games on the trot. That was a big part of the RCB puzzle, which was missing the overseas fast bowler. They tried a lot of guys at the beginning. They tried even Lockie at the beginning.
They tried him last.
No, I'm saying...
Yeah, what I'm saying is that they finally got to the right piece of the puzzle.
No, but they tried Lockie, dropped him because he had two not very good games. But then when they've gotten back, he's really hit the ground running.
And his game's changed as well. I don't know if there's a lot of students of the way Lockie's bowled previously, but a lot of the time it's been pace on, pace on, pace on, with the leg cutter out the side of the hands, which has been his effective slow ball. And this IPL so far, we've seen a different Lockie Ferguson, something that haven't seen, which shows that he's watched the first part of the competition. Because even when he first started, even the KKR game, he didn't bowl that knuckleball as often as he's been bowling it now. So I think he's looked at the first half of the tournament, seen what's working, seen what's not, and really put that into his game and developed his game, which has kind of led to those two performances that you've spoken about. So massive kudos to him.
If you look at this bowling card on the whole, Lockie, Yash Dayal with the wickets, Cam Green we touched upon, possibly RCB's most complete bowling performance this season?
Yeah, possibly. I think they had a good one against GT as well, where they kept the runs down. But yeah, it looks like at the beginning of the season, one of the questions was who's going to sort of lead the RCB bowling attack. But what they seem to have done is just given themselves so many options. They've got 7 bowling options. So it kind of works where if one bowler has a good day and one has a day off, you have enough bowlers to cover for them because you've got now Swapnil coming in.
Yeah, he's done great, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So is it the last 4 games he's taken, 3 or 4 games that he's taken a wicket in the first over? That makes a massive difference.
Yeah. And I think Siraj was that linchpin which they were surrounding the whole bowling attack around. Yeah. He's been firing for the last 5-6 games. So it's really coming together
been good.
in all fronts. Yeah, so it's going to boil down to CSK RCB.
And Faf is trusting spinners more as well. Because remember that first game in the season, he said he didn't bowl spin at all because Dubey was at the crease. But today, like David Warner's a lefty, but he still opens with Swapnil saying, you know what, I trust him to get a wicket. So there seems to be a little bit more trust from him and all the bowlers as well to just start off and, just bowl spinners when he thinks they can get wickets and bowl different seamers in different phases.
Going to sift through some of the questions now. You can keep them coming if you're watching on our YouTube live. Lots being asked around Rajat Patidar. We did cover Patidar in great detail in our halftime show, so you can catch that on the ESPN Cricket Info mobile app. But there's Devang asking, Rajat Patidar's batting shows that batters do not require to grind an innings to get into form in this format. Perhaps reflecting on the fact that he had such a quiet start, but he's hit his way back into form, and how.
It's T20 cricket. There's no chance of anybody grinding anything out here. You just got to hit your way into form. Any grinding has to be done in the nets because with the pace of the game today, with the way how things are going, you cannot grind it out in the middle. And that's exactly what Patidar has done. He's also, I think he's started making more smart batting choices, like short choices, which has been getting him better results.
I think that's a really, really good question because you talk about grinding performance out to get runs, to get yourself back into form, and I think that's what a lot of players do when they don't get scores. They start looking to bat to get runs, bat to get a score, bat to get 30 plus, and that's actually the opposite of what you need to do in T20, particularly with the impact player. You need to go out there and bat to have an impact on the game. And if that's 12 off 3 or 12 off 4 or 20 off 10 or 20 off 12, that's a better performance than looking at the aggregate of runs. And that's going to have more of a significant result on your team performing, particularly with the lengthened batting lineups we're seeing this year. So it's nice that he didn't go into that mode where he felt like he had to come out and get 50 to feel like he was in form. He's come out and had some very impactful knocks before he started scoring those 50s.
I thought I saw something on Axar Patel, which I can't find, but Axar Patel's batting in the last few games in particular is perhaps good timing for even from an India perspective. He is now in that squad.
He had a good IPL last season as well with the bat. And I mean, I don't want to get into India discussion now, but I think for a while he's probably been a better T20 bat than Jadeja. But of course, there's the question of who's going to be better with the ball in those conditions. But yeah, I think last season he was kind of almost carrying Delhi with the bat. This season he's had a little bit more support at the top, but I mean he's been a good T20 bat for a while, I think.
One of the arguments for Axar, in favour of Axar being in the World Cup squad, is that it allows India that one particular combination, which can be batting heavy while also having the spinners, where you manage to accommodate a Jadeja and an Axar along with a Kuldeep, lengthens your batting. And with Axar in this kind of batting form, that could be a good combination for India.
See, the only reason India's picked 4 spinners in their 15 is obviously to play 3. The cushion India has is that two out of those 3 are proper batsmen, Jadeja and Axar. 2 fast bowlers, 3 spinners, and Hardik gives you a huge cushion, a very deep batting lineup, and a lot of bowling options. So that's exactly what's going to happen.
Okay, you heard it here first.
Yes, we will clip that out and use it multiple times. Right, let's now get into a rapid-fire review of this victory of great consequence for RCB over Delhi Capitals. I will start with Mitch. What's impressed you the most about Rajat Patidar's run of recent scores?
Oh, look, the intent, first and foremost, that he's not looking to go out there and score a big score. He's going out to have an impact on the game. And he's batted so well and had such an impact that has just resulted in him getting 50s. I think 5 50s so far this season. And that's a result of his intent.
Varun, was that RCB's most complete bowling performance of this season?
I would say yes, because everybody filled their roles. Maybe the spinners could have done slightly better, but the fast bowlers really came to the party. Cam Green's bowling has been a revelation in the last 4-5 games, along with Siraj's. Siraj being in form is brilliant, and Lockie Ferguson, as the overseas joining the party, has also been great for them.
Dustin, was Jake Fraser-McGurk's run out a turning point in the game?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he looked like he was the guy who was going to get Delhi off to a great start. And keep in mind, Shai Hope played pretty well from the other end. So if he doesn't get out, those two put together a partnership. And yeah, I mean, the game's completely different. So pretty big turning point.
Back to you, Mitch. Kumar Kushagra over Prithvi Shaw. Did Delhi get that call wrong?
Yeah, I was struggling to wonder what the reasoning was around that. I mean, it's always easy to look in hindsight. There's obviously something that Delhi's seen in the way Kushagra has been going about his work in the nets, and they thought he was the right man for the job tonight. But I think in these situations, I think you always bet experience. Players have been there and got you scores before, and I think Shaw was that guy.
Varun, 1 for 52 of Kuldeep Yadav's 4 overs. Was that takedown the biggest differentiator for RCB?
For sure, that was a really important spell which Kuldeep didn't go as planned. I think in a ground like the Chinnaswamy, you have to give it slightly less air. And if you are giving it air, you bowl wide. That's exactly what Yuzi Chahal has done really well over the years at the Chinnaswamy Stadium. I think Kuldeep tossed the ball a bit more up than usual today at the Chinnaswamy Stadium, which is not the way to go.
Final word to you, Dustin. Contrasting outings for both the fielding units. How much did that impact the result?
Pretty big, because if DC get some of those catches early, they can keep them to a much lower score. Delhi have dropped the most catches this season, 22. I think the next is 19. I mean, there's been a crazy number of catches dropped in general, but it's hard to say. But yeah, I mean, of course it would have made a difference if they had held those catches, yeah.
All right, that covers us for RCB versus DC. 2 hugely significant points for RCB on a day where both games had so much bearing on the points table, but it also meant a lot of points on offer for our panelists. So let's see how they fared. It's time to go into the impact zone. This was CSK versus Rajasthan Royals. A dubious game in that I don't think I've seen a run of scores as low as that across the board. But Varun Aaron, 66.7 is the winning score.
It was also a low scoring game. So
Yeah.
give us some
Matches up to the panel.
66.7. So that's 3 points for you from game 1. Outrageous picks from Chennai versus Rajasthan. Was anything landed? Yeah, we saw a few landed. Varun Aaron said Trent Bolt will go wicketless.
Yes.
Mitchell McClenaghan said Ruturaj Gaikwad to stay unbeaten. So that's 5 points for both of them.
I didn't know you picked one up.
Chennai to win inside 17 overs didn't quite happen. So Dustin, nothing landing there, but 5 points each for both of them. And look at those smiles.
Well, I'm disappointed. I didn't know he snuck one in there. So
Yeah, Mitch was thinking he's got that 5 point covered on everyone, but Varun's got 5. And now to RCB versus DC. The picks here, wow.
Whoa! That recovery.
Wow.
But I'll take that.
Say something.
That's good.
Mitch. Lord.
No, one
Dustin.
sec. Look, no, one sec. There's a problem here.
What?
Green was player of the match. He gets 48.9 and Patidar gets 70. How is that even possible?
Yeah, because 52 is 32 in a game where
The player of the match.
187 met 140. We don't give extra points.
No, one sec.
Stats doesn't give extra points for awards.
Four overs, 19 runs, 1 wicket.
The context of those overs is that they were bowled when DC was 6 and 7 down.
We'll have a piece on Cricinfo about why the impact points are different from the player of the match.
Yes, that is always a talking point. But if I think I saw the table correct, you were second, which means it's a pretty big haul for you on Sunday. So you should not be complaining about anything to do with Impact Zone.
Yeah.
This is a solid Sunday for Varun Aaron. Lots of points made. Mitch, 5 outrageous points will serve you well. And we hope for what should be a cracking last week between all of you. Leave alone what's happening in the IPL, where the league table is intensifying. The last week of league stage action will commence, so join us then. Monday is Gujarat Titans versus Kolkata Knight Riders. KKR get an early taste of Ahmedabad, where they know they will be playing because they are so likely to finish in the top 2. So join us for the build-up to that game just before toss time on Maruti Suzuki Arena. Presents ESPN Cricinfo Timeout, powered by JBL. Download the ESPN Cricinfo mobile app for everything to cover up this double-header Sunday of so much significance in the IPL season. So many scenarios. How are LSG still in it? How are DC still in it? All of that will be on the mobile app, so be sure to download it, and we will see you on Monday evening.
Introducing the epic new Swift. Time to go swifting.